Hello. Welcome. Wow, what a good audience. Well done, quieted right down. Hope everybody's got a seat, but how thrilling it is on daylight savings time in a snowstorm to have capacity crowd. Thank you all for coming. My name is Kathy Miller, and I'm the Executive Director of Mount Desert 365. And for those of you who don't know, it's a nonprofit based here in Northeast Harbor, and our purpose is to foster a thriving, sustainable community year-round in the town of Mount Desert. And so we have a lot of things we have to do. We have to create a beehive of activity. We are taking a two-pronged approach to having a thriving year-round community, primarily through affordable housing, which is an issue all over the island for people who want to live here year-round and find that difficult and challenging financially, as in so many other beautiful places around the world. The other approach we're taking is through economic development and supporting businesses. Supporting existing businesses through programs like this, helping new businesses, people with an idea and a passion to create their dream job and business, which will help support the rest of the economy. And we do all of that through collaboration, outreach with others, and by some property acquisition, and by creating some programs. And all of it means that we need to do it with a whole lot of other people. So this program has been a culmination of activity for a while, and all of these folks have helped us as mentors, as judges here, as people who have prepared all the food, schlepped tables around, etc. It takes a village to make all of this happen. And our primary partner in this has been the Chamber of Commerce, and Lisa Parsons is going to come up in a few minutes, but they have been wonderful partners through all of this and have kept us fed throughout the whole weekend, so we're eternally grateful for that. And we have Bar Harbor Bank and Trust has been our sponsor for this program. And they too have been absolutely wonderful partners in all of this. They've provided stuff for the event itself. They've provided help beforehand, getting things set up, advice on marketing, and then a lot of people as mentors helping throughout the program. And so we have with us today Curtis Simard, who's the president of Bar Harbor Bank and Trust, as one of our judges. Thank you, Curtis. We also have Hank Schmelzer joining us as a judge today. Hank is a former president of the Maine Community Foundation, and they have given us some financial support this year. They have stated that entrepreneurship and innovation is one of their strategic goals, and so they're making great efforts around the state to support startup businesses and a whole entrepreneurship, and so we're working with them in a variety of ways. And the connections that we have through Maine Community Foundation have helped bring in some more of our mentors from as far as Brunswick and Orono, and they have been a great partner. So we're thrilled to have Hank Schmelzer join us as a judge today too. And our third judge is Nancy Ho. And who does not know Nancy Ho? The owner of the Kimball Shop right here in Northeast Harbor, the most fabulous store. And we're delighted to have her here as a lifelong resident of Northeast Harbor. But also Nancy serves a variety of committees, and one of them is as chair of the town's Economic Development Committee. So thank you, Nancy, for participating in this. And last but not least is College of the Atlantic. They have been a tremendous partner. Jay Friedlander has been the designer and the facilitator of this whole program. And we have so many people who are students or graduates, alumni of the college, who have supported us in a variety of ways. Either they're creating businesses, or they're mentoring, or they're helping out in a variety of ways. And I say thank you to those visionaries who started College of the Atlantic, which was created as an economic boon to the whole island. And it really has paid out that way. So thank you to the college as well. So, over to our partner in crime here, Lisa Parsons, who is both part of Bar Harbor Bank and Trust and the head of our local Mount Desert Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you, Kathy, and thank everybody for coming this afternoon, very snowy afternoon. We really appreciate all of you coming out to support these wonderful participants, and thank you for all the participants. I am so excited and can't wait to get this started. So without further ado, I would like to thank all of those from the Mount Desert Chamber Board who have helped prepare food for the last few days. And also we had some help with food and having this beautiful facility, the neighborhood house, the Northeast Harbor Library, where these guys have been stationed for the last couple of days. And Thursday night, we had a wonderful dinner with Caitlin at Fork and Table. So thank you. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Jay. Jay Friedlander is the Sustainable Business Professor from the College of the Atlantic and has been the facilitator of the boot camp this weekend. So, Jay?
Thank you, Kathy. So I'm the last thing standing between you and the entrepreneur, so I'm going to go quick here. This evening, we have quite a roster for you. We have been working with these ventures all weekend. I'll talk a little bit more about what we've been doing. The presentation order this evening is as follows. We're going to start off with some oysters at Bar Harbor Oyster Company. Then we are going to move over into abalone, and then get a quick cup of coffee, and then we'll move over to pizza and Island Star Takeaway. And then we'll take a look at some flowers from Chickadee Hill, and then on to some gifts from Spruce and Gussie. And back to for a little caffeine refresher, the Cadia Cold Brew, and then some treats from Milk and Honey as well. And we'll go back to the sea with Piquito. And finally, we're gonna end it up with fabulous events from RL Sisson Events. So that's our roster for tonight. Now, really what the boot camp is all about is we see this all the time where people are starting businesses because they're excited because they want to open up a fish market, or they want to have a gift shop, or they want to do something else in their life. And oftentimes people are doing this because they're really passionate about it, but they haven't had a whole lot of formal training. And I call these folks accidental entrepreneurs. And I think many, many businesses on the island are like this. And what we see time and time again is that as you're looking to grow and build your business and build your community, there's this skills chasm that people fall into. And so what the boot camp is all about is filling that in. And over the last 3 days, that's precisely what we've been doing, providing essential skills, everything from looking at break-even and financials to pitching to value proposition, and to give these folks the essential skills they need to help their businesses build and remake them. And it has been a tremendous weekend. People, we have seen everything, businesses being reformed, a lot of financials and going over the numbers and tears and excitement. And here's what it's looked like. So we've done 38 hours of programming over the last 3 days. So 3 quick 12-hour days, really easy. In the library, we've had 21 participants and 19 mentors turned out to really make this happen. And thank you everyone for coming out tonight. It just shows the community support. It's just beautiful. So this evening will be 3-minute presentations. Then there'll be 3 minutes of Q&A from our judges. And then we will move on to voting. For the audience, you have voting sheets, and I'll explain those in just one moment. After we vote, the audience will vote, the judges will be sequestered to make their choices. And then we will do awards and prizes, and here's how the prizes shape up. The judges will be awarding $5,000, and the audience as well will be awarding $5,000. So the audience, you've got a lot of responsibility, so pay attention to what's going on here. So the criteria for the judging, we're looking for a demonstrated market need, the strength of the team, the business and financial model to sustain the venture, as well as the impact of the venture on the local economy, and the clarity of the ask, So the entrepreneurs will be telling you, here is what I need for my business to help me grow, and then the benefit of up to $10,000 to the enterprise. And then, so you'll be scoring these on 1 to 5, so there's a maximum folks can get of 30 points. So for the audience, you have sheets in front of you that have the logos of all of the companies and the criteria down the side of your ballot over there. And you can score those, make any comments you want. And so that's the first 5 ventures right there, and the last 5 ventures as well. And then we will have a way for you to vote by either text message or paper ballot at the end. And now it's time to get going. So Joanna and Tegan are going to talk to us about Bar Harbor Oyster Company.
My husband Jesse and I both grew up here on the island, and we've worked on the water in different capacities our entire lives. About 6 years ago, we found ourselves chasing jobs on boats and in completely different corners of the world. I was working on sailing yachts as a chef and a deckhand in the Caribbean, and he was working as a chief engineer on a longliner in the Bering Sea, which is where he is right now. And we realized we were ready for a change. We wanted to come home, and we wanted to make it happen here. We wanted to be able to work on the water where we grew up. So we started thinking of as many business ideas as we could, and when we came up with oysters, it just made sense. Although we knew nothing about aquaculture or sea farming. We just dove in, literally and metaphorically. We started with a small bag of seeds, a couple of cages, and got a small limited purpose lease site. 5 years and a lot of hard work and blue gloves and investments later, we now have a 10-year, 22.5-acre lease up in Mount Desert Narrows. We currently seed hundreds of thousands of baby oysters each spring on our farm and grow them in cages that float on the surface in the summer and which we sink to the bottom in the winter. It takes 3 years for our Bar Harbor blondes to reach market size, but they're worth the wait. Oysters are unique in the sense that they adapt the flavor and the aesthetic of the body of water in which they're grown, and we all know we have the best. Tegan here has been a crew member for a year or so now, and she wears many hats. She does a lot of things on the water with us, and she also does our delivery route in downtown Bar Harbor, so we know we're keeping her.
We get millions of visitors every summer coming here to look for the genuine coastal Maine experience. And so we've been partnering with all of these local restaurants to help them bring that to their menu, not just in the way that it states Bar Harbor, and so you know that locality, but also in the very taste of the oyster itself. And it's been a really successful business model for us. Last year, we tripled the amount of oysters that we were growing, but despite that, we still had all of our product reserved within the first 2 months of our growing season. So at this rate of growth, our biggest cost right now is purchasing the seed that we grow into adults. So with a $10,000 investment, we would like to purchase a nursery system. Right now, what we're doing is we're buying the largest seed possible from a hatchery in Maine, and that's good seed. It's hardy, you can grow it right on your farm, but it's also very expensive. So by having a nursery, at our peak production, what we'd like to get to, 500,000 oysters, we would save $1,000 just within the first year of having the nursery, and the consecutive years we would save over $10,000. And that's money that we would like to reinvest into the crew and into the people here on NBI.
Thank you for coming. We'd all love your support.
I will turn it over to the judges for Q&A.
Just make sure that that's on.
Hi, honey. Jesse's in Alaska watching this live stream.
So who do you compete with, and how far away are they?
There are more and more local sea farmers growing up now, but we are marketing ourselves actually as a boutique oyster farm. So we don't necessarily see other oyster farms as competition. And there's still a ton of room for the market to grow. Market saturation, we expect, would be really slow at best. There is a lot of room to grow. Right now, 90% of our product is just on this island. And there's less and less trust and reliance on the southern oyster for a lot of reasons, mainly climate. So I think this market is really only going to blow up.
Thank you.
Are there just the three of you as the team, or are there more?
No, we have an additional year-round employee, and then we employ about 3 people in the summer.
And what would your annual revenues be, more or less, if you feel as though you can disclose that ballpark?
Well, our annual revenues at our peak production, if we anticipate selling 500,000 oysters, we wholesale for $1, and we would actually be able to revenue close to 3.5.
Good.
So a follow-up question. So what are your biggest challenges today that you go forward?
Really, right now, it's capital. With such a slow grow out on our product, we have had to put a lot of money into things, and there's such a wait time. So, like Tegan said, we were all of our product was reserved, before it was even ready for market, essentially. So, if we could control more of our seed costs, we can expand a little bit more and have have a bigger part of that process, and employ more people in doing so. The more we can manage the grow out, the more we're employing local people right here to run our upweller system, for example.
Can you talk a little bit about the land lease? Is it exclusive? How does that work?
Sure, so the leasing process can be long and complicated. We have what's called a standard lease, which is currently a 10-year lease. We lease the body of water from the state of Maine. It's a pretty long application process. They have just changed standard leases from 10 to 20 years, but for us to we want essentially grandfathered into that, but the reapplication process is quite simple. So we anticipate having this year for at least for a very long time.
Great, thank you. Good.
All right, I guess
We're
we'll
good,
call it
Jay.
right there. Thank you very much. Now we'll move over into abalone, and Isaiah and Stefan are going to talk to us about Mary Farm abalone.
Thank you, Jay. With more coastline than the rest of the entire New England combined, Maine is the seafood state and a world leader in aquaculture, but is threatened by overfishing, climate change, and ocean acidification. Mary Farm is committed to helping Maine adapt to these changes by moving shellfish production from the ocean into recirculating aquaculture in order to improve quality, accessibility, and preserve the environment, while also innovating valuable shellfish products. Recirculating aquaculture is the process of farming sea creatures entirely independent of the ocean. This allows us to optimize conditions for growth while protecting the local ecosystem and preventing the exchange of diseases. In order to better visualize this, I invite you to imagine how greenhouses are used to control parameters in order to allow for the year-round production of new species that could not ordinarily survive in the local region. This opportunity allows us to bring abalone, the most valuable shellfish in the world by weight, to Maine and New England for the first time. Historically revered as the emperor of shellfish, abalone are giant sea snails prized as the tastiest of tide pool treats on nearly every major coastline. As a global delicacy, the flavor of abalone has been described as milky moist, tender and mild, somewhat like lobster, though sweeter to the sophisticated palate. MDI is an international hotspot for seafood lovers, and we are working with chefs, seafood distributors, and restaurant owners to put a unique Maine spin on this superfood, rich in antioxidants and considered an aphrodisiac in Maine restaurants this summer. Our confidence in bringing abalone to New England stems from the success of the Californian abalone meat market, where in 2017, production actually exceeded 750,000 pounds and value skyrocketed to nearly $20 million. Additionally, with value addition, the aquaculture abalone can be $60 per pound. We want to foster a whole abalone approach so that each animal can impact as many lives as possible. This means eventually using the abalone shell, the beautiful mother of pearl, in jewelry and potentially their blood in human vaccines, which is something I have over 5 years of experience studying at the University of Maine. Likewise, our team is composed of scientists educated at UMaine and working on Mountain Desert Island. We are currently incubating at the Mountain Desert Island Biological Laboratory, where we are in a developmental stage. We have gained the attention and interest of many seafood producers and restaurants, but right with our current setup, we cannot meet the supply. In order to proceed to the next step, we need to, $10,000 would really help us get the tanks, water monitoring systems, and filtration units that we need to bring abalone to MDI and thus the taste of treasure to the people of New England. I would now like to invite my partner, Stephen Jackson, up to answer any questions. Thank you.
So it sounds considerably more expensive than $10,000.
So,
The rest of the funding?
so we have been working on funding for quite some time. We've established ourselves in November, and we have a pipeline plan of starting an Indiegogo campaign in the next few months. We're also going to be looking at grants at the University of Maine. I've raised over $10,000 in grants to look at abalone aquaculture and blood pharmaceutical, and we're also working with business counselors at SBDC and Mount Desert 365 to prepare for applications like Libra, MTI, and other state-funded programs.
Are there any negative aspects to bringing abalone into our main waters?
Yeah, so the purpose of the recirculating aquaculture system is actually to avoid any interference between our abalone and what they produce, such as byproducts as waste. It won't be going into the waters at all. So the idea behind this is that we still be able to support the industry we love, like the seafood industry, while not actually influencing the oceans and coastlines, which are now very much dealing with the issues that we see with global climate change, such as ocean acidification and overfishing. So there aren't any negative consequences from our recirculating system to the coasts, to the oceans.
How confident are you with your market research about the possibility of selling abalone in Maine? And what, please?
Yep. So abalone is internationally the most valuable shellfish, and though it is new to the area, the fact that MDI has such a strong suit in shellfish and is really kind of experimental in the sense that now we have American Unagi doing these glass seals. There's a lot of experimental, different kinds of ethnic food chefs working with sea urchin roe. So it's not actually as extreme as it might sound, which is why we want to start here on the island before branching into the rest of the state.
In addition to that, there is actually a small market growing in New York and the Boston area, primarily with the Asian communities, because they're very familiar with this product. It's very big in China, Korea, and so we're hoping that once New England becomes more familiar with it, those markets in Boston, New York will start to also become more interested in our product as well.
Has this been tried somewhere other than here, or, I mean, California, obviously, but,
So California and Hawaii are the two major abalone producers in the US. Otherwise, it is really on nearly every other coastline. South Africa, Australia, all through the Indo-Pacific, and throughout Europe. In California, it started a little bit after the Asian markets because that's where it was such a big thing. But at one point in time, California was actually one of the largest exporters, but they depleted the wild fishery, which is why they recently converted to aquaculture. So their conversion in the 90s and massive success now paints a positive picture for our development.
All right, that's all we have time for today. And
And now Terry, Nils, and Josh are going to talk to us about the Coffee Shop Cafe.
The coffee shop was created out of a love for family and community. 10 years ago, our little village of Seal Harbor was without a gathering place. And so to my mind, a coffee shop would remedy this. So my husband gladly volunteered to help me create this coffee shop. And we didn't offer much in the beginning, besides a place to gather, a good cup of coffee, and a little sweet treat. But as the saying goes, if you build it, they will come, and they did. And they filled our little space. And about a year into running the coffee shop, my brother came on board and added his pizzeria, and everybody loved it. So more and more people came and filled our shop more and more. My brother passed away in 2018 of liver cancer, and it's been a bit challenging to keep the shop running. But I wanted to do it to honor his memory and all the hard work that he put into building the business. Luckily for me, the universe sent me these two angels when I needed them the most. And so now Nils and Josh are going to say a little something about where we're at with the business and where we're headed.
As Terry said, Coffee Shop was started to really serve our local community, but our customers also include our workers, our tourists, and our summer residents. And as the only year-round business in Seal Harbor, we have a really unique opportunity to fully capture the market there. We know that we would be more profitable if we were only open during the busy season, but we know that it's more important for us to remain open during the full year for our community. And the community agrees. After 10 years of business, they're still coming through our doors year after year and filling out that small space. And I want to pass it over to Josh to talk a little bit more about where we're going and the problem we're currently facing.
Yeah, so to put it simply, our space is currently our issue, which is why we're here today asking for your help in seeking that $10,000 prize. We would like to remodel our location so we can better accommodate those customers that will come in every single day and have a conversation with us or sit and dine, where we have some that would like to come in, grab something, and get back to their day. We want to make it accommodating for them so the flow will work better. We also need to make it more efficient for the employees so they can meet these needs of our customers. We also need to address our lack of signage so we can attract those customers that are going by every single day that we're missing out on. And with your help today, we would be able to do that. Thank you for your consideration.
What can you tell us what the 10,000 would do in terms of your renovation? Or, oh, there.
We would knock out the existing wall so we could push the counter space back. That way there was more area for people to sit and dine at, and that we would rearrange the location of like our coffee. That way the flow worked better. The back of our kitchen right now, some of it's over here, some of it's over there. We need to streamline it. That way we can do that. So doing that, we would have to push the counter back, and doing so we would have to get new cabinets and flooring to be able to accommodate that space. So the total comes to $15,400. We're currently talking with Hammond Lumber to get a design in place.
Is there, so now you're selling coffee and pizza, I guess two different times of the day. Is there one of these that potentially has a greater profit potential for you than the other?
Surprisingly, our market is actually surprisingly, our market's actually like broken up almost evenly. We have, right now we're only open to lunch, so we don't have a dinner menu. But we're basically divided 50-50 for morning and breakfast. We're looking if we can expand, accommodate more customers, we would be able to hire on additional staff. That way we can expand our hours so we are not drained at the end of the day. Currently we're only open 6 days a week during the summer, but only to 1 p.m. on Saturday, which is basically killing us. So if we can accommodate more customers, have more employees, we would be able to be more efficient.
So how quick is the return on the spend? So you spend 15,000, does that allow you to do twice as much, half as much? How does it work?
We would have about a 30% increase if we were to add on our additional hours along with that, yes.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good, Jay.
Yeah, all right, thank you. And now we'll move on to Emily, who's going to talk to us about Island Star Takeaway.
Hi, folks. Yes, that's me. I'm Emily Damon. I have some deep roots and some multi-generational connections to this community. I grew up here, and now I'm raising my family here. But my culinary education began in San Francisco, where I earned my degree and studied with some pretty great chefs. Then I toured the country, pausing in New Mexico and Rhode Island, collecting recipes and honing my skills, knowing that someday they'd become useful. But I wanted to come home. So I made a name for myself, and I ran 3 successful businesses right here in Northeast Harbor. Currently, I'm the lunch lady at our elementary school. What a rewarding job. I want to share a little bit about that with you. Last year, during lunch, I had a little 8-year-old boy come up to me and tap me on the shoulder and say, "Chef Emily, you know all those great veggies you offer me every day? They're really important for my body and my brain. Thank you." That's pretty awesome. That shows it's really important work that I do there. And I'm going to take that memory with me for the rest of my life. But I'm a super creative person, and I need an outlet for that. Island Star Takeaway. Right in Town Hill, the hub of the island. My target market is all those cars driving by, my local fans, and the soon-to-be summer clientele. It affords me to do what I love to do, to be creative, share my passion, and make really great pizza. My unique pies utilize local produce, and I have some pretty unusual toppings. I just opened 6 weeks ago, and I've had a tremendous outpour of praise. I sell out of pies every week. My market demand is clear. I need to produce more pies. My current management team consists of my 2 daughters. They're 12 and they're 9. It only allows me to produce about 20 pies per hour. But with my full-time, year-round employee and that 3rd critical person during the summertime, I can pump out over 60 pies an hour. Obviously, my revenue will go up. But here's my challenge, because my space is really small. If I were awarded the $10,000 prize today, I'd buy that really good-looking commercial freezer, pack it full of pies, and it'd never run out. Along with that, though, the cryovac machine, which would seal in the freshness, would be a great partner to that freezer. I definitely need to upgrade my point-of-sale system and invest in some better signage and logo branding. But in closing, one of my goals for Island Star Takeaway is to give back to the community. About 15 years ago, I started a culinary scholarship fund at our local high school. And in the near future, with the success that I feel like we're going to have, I would like to donate a percentage of my sales back into that scholarship to help another young chef do what they love to do, just like I'm doing today. Thanks for your support.
Thank you, Emily. What do you see as the principal way you can advertise, market, get the word out about your location and your product?
Well, thanks to the last 38 hours of the intense boot camp and a lot of support, a couple of suggestions were made to me that I think will work really well. Trying to get in all of those people coming from Hinckley and Morris yachts, drive over, bring some hot, fresh pies with a menu, let them taste it, let them know where I am. One thing.
Emily, you were asking, you mentioned that you have a very small space. So where does this other person go? Do you have enough room for all that?
I have enough room for 3 of us for sure. I've definitely strategized on the placement of everybody because that is critical. It is a very small space. I feel that having been in this business for over 20 years, I have a pretty good idea of how to make the best use of the space in a small kitchen.
So you mentioned the POS, the freezer, signage. What about cooking capacity?
As far as putting out what I need to do. So the oven that I have currently, I'm comfortable only doing about 4 pies at a time. Once I get more help, I'll be able to put up to 8 pies in the oven because I won't be answering the phone, handling the money, packaging your pie, building your pie, baking your pie, and smiling all at the same time.
I'll set you.
And now Emily and Erica will talk to us about Chickadee Hill Flowers.
Sometimes a single flower inspires a whole story. This is how Chickadee Hill Flowers began. One love affair with flowers that now turned into a sustainable flower farm and floral design studio here in Bar Harbor. We've established a niche market using locally grown flowers, arranged in our signature style, and using rare and unusual material. We want people to see flowers as art. Our work has been recognized in many media publications, and we have a strong social media presence where people can instantly see our online portfolio. Sales have steadily increased over the last 5 seasons, and weddings account for the majority of our business. We also are involved in education. We've spoken at the Northern Flower Growers Conference twice now and are starting to host flower arranging workshops at the farm. Since demand for our floral product has increased so rapidly, we recognize that our infrastructure needs updating. For example, our wash sink is 2 doorways, 3 right-hand turns away from our studio space, and we wash up to 50 buckets a day. When the sun sets, we need to turn on 3 clamp lamps so that we can continue to work. And our drip irrigation system can't tolerate any more duct tape to keep working. With $10,000, we would install a wash sink directly into our studio space. We would install energy efficient lighting so that we can continue arranging into the evening hours. And we would install a low flow irrigation system. With these simple workstation efficiencies, we would be able to work faster. We would be able to accept the jobs that we are currently turning down, and we would be able to increase our farm's sustainability. Above all, it would free us up to have the time to continue to innovate creatively. Sometimes the whole story starts with a single clean bucket. The less time we spend cleaning buckets, the more time we can be creating this. Thank you.
What's driving the demand increase?
Well, currently we kind of really capitalized on our brand name. We have brand recognition now. People know where to find us. And because of our online presence and that a large percentage of our market is coming from away, they're finding us online and connecting the dots there. So we're getting a lot more calls. We're getting a lot more calls for delivery service now. We're finally on the map. And so that's what's the increase. So since we do a lot of weddings, that's what's really tying up a lot of our time. So if we were able to free up staff from doing these menial kind of tasks, we would be able to take on that odd delivery order that came in that we were continually having to say no to. And these would be our repeat customers. So it's very important for us to be able to field this work.
How large is your staff at peak season? And also, is there any way you can quantify what the increase in your revenues might be as a result of this additional $10,000 investment?
Great questions. Currently, we have myself, we have Erica, who is a full-time staff person. So we are not quite half the year. I would say that we're operating April through December, and now we're shipping product through the winter, dried everlasting product. So currently, we're looking to become more of a full-time, full season. So we have Erica as a full-time person, and then we have 2 seasonal part-time workers right now. And also, your second question, I'm sorry.
The question of whether there's any way you can quantify what the impact might be on your revenue stream from this additional investment.
Well,
How many more buckets can you fill?
That's a great question, and I don't have a specific figure for you. All I know is the amount of work that we're turning down. The other thing is that since I am so busy in the shop managing everything we have going now, I'm not able to pursue a lot of the available work that is right at my fingertips in the community already. So it's a number that is worth the investment.
Do you see yourself breaking out of the bridal market and being a larger?
Yes, I do.
Where would you go with that?
I'm looking to, since this is such a specialty service, and since it's so heavily related to individualized design, I'm looking to create more of a connection with homeowners in the area, especially in the summer community perhaps, where I can go into their homes, bring them weekly flowers, and start to design specifically for the interior of their homes. I think that that's where we shine in terms of our inspiration and the type of material and service we have.
Thank you very much. And now we're going to move on to Spruce and Gussie, and Patty is going to come up here, and Michelle will be joining her for Q&A. Or we'll be joining her right away. I'm not sure.
Hi everyone, I'd really like to tell you a little bit about our business. We own Spruce and Gussie, which is a bright little gift shop across from the Village Green in Bar Harbor. And a question we've been asking ourselves since we opened 9 years ago is how does a year-round business survive on a seasonal island? Michelle and I both have deep roots in this island community. In 2010, we decided we wanted to open a business of our own. Despite years and years in the restaurant industry, or maybe because of it, we decided to open a gift shop. Turns out running a gift shop is nothing like running a restaurant. But we made the best of it, and we showed a profit in our very first year. It was only $15, but hey, it was not a loss. And we've been steadily increasing ever since. We're artists ourselves, so we both really value handmade things. When we were looking to decide what kind of business we were going to do in 2010, we realized there weren't a lot of shops in Bar Harbor that featured items that were handmade or made by small US companies. By deciding to do that at Spruce and Gussie, we were ahead of the curve. There's been a steady, growing demand for functional, meaningful items that are made by people earning a living wage, and that has been true since we opened our doors. Another thing that we've done right is to very carefully select our merchandise with an emphasis on functionality and creativity. Our customer is a thoughtful person who understands the the value inherent to handmade items. She understands the positive impact of shopping locally, and she really appreciates that we know our products inside and out. We support 60 Maine artists, many of them from this island, and dozens more from across the country. We do this by stocking their work on our shelves every day, but also by hosting events throughout the year, including Bazaar Bazaar, which is a small in-store craft fair in December. We're also co-founders, creators of the Bar Harbor Art Walk, which we help to run every summer. We also started a scholarship in memory of a dear friend of ours. Through the Kristen Clint Arts Fund, we've raised tens of thousands of dollars to help support MDI women and girls in their creative endeavors. This year, we're actually helping to send a young Northeast Harbor dancer to a summer program at Joffrey Ballet in Manhattan. But our business has its challenges like any other. This is actually our point of sale system, which has been affectionately dubbed the Abacus by Jay. We are more than ready to move into the digital era. So we are asking for your help to get mostly the primary focus would be a digital point of sale system, which would allow us easier access to our numbers, allowing us to make better decisions for increased profitability. But the real magic of this system is that it would tie our bricks and mortar inventory to an online inventory. With a website revamp, we could finally offer the web store that our customers have been asking for since day one. And that would allow us to send products from Spruce and Gussie and the artists we represent all over the world. We are confident that an enhanced online presence will allow us to keep our lights on and expand off-season profits for both ourselves and our artists.
Can you talk a little bit more about the website? Is that, is it just stylistic changes or tying better to inventory availability as well to the POS? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes, right now we don't actually have an online store. We tried to run one ourselves a few years back, and what we found was that trying to maintain inventory, we had too many one-of-a-kind products. So in order to have an online store, we had to keep an entirely separate inventory, and we couldn't afford to do that. So we ended up ditching that online system, but now there are point of sale systems that can integrate that inventory for us so that when it sells from the shop, it comes off the online store automatically. And that would make our lives a lot easier and allow us to offer more of our products, a more authentic representation of our store online than we were able to do before.
Do you feel you can do a POS system for $10,000?
The actual point of sale system is it's a lot cheaper than that now. I think even for all the peripherals and everything that we want, we can do it for about $3. The website, however, was a little bit of a surprise. When we first made our website, it was like $1,200, but I guess that was 9 years ago and prices have gone up a lot.
How do you develop the network of artists that you want to work with? So that particularly be sure that you don't offer too many products.
Yeah, we haven't really had that problem. We have a lot of the artists we represent are friends of ours that we actually know here from Island. As everybody is aware, there are a lot of wonderful artists right here on MDI. So we actually knew a lot of these people. We get approached by artists. We go out and seek new artists, both at shows and online. So it's sort of a constant seeking and being sought after.
One of our criteria is the strength of the team, and is the team just the two of you, or do you have?
We have one employee who we employ really pretty full time for 6 months out of the year, and can only offer her sporadic employment otherwise. That's one thing we'd really love to do is to keep Tara on more of the time. And yes, other than that, it's the two of us, and we complement each other really, really well.
Sorry. Back to the website piece. So would it just have your inventory or would it pull through the inventory from the artists?
We carry the work of the artists, whether by consignment, whether on consignment or by actually wholesaling it, so it would be our inventory.
Yeah, thank you.
Great, I think that's about all.
Next up, we have Christina and Cristobal, who are going to talk to us about Acadia Cold Brew.
We are here to showcase a product geared for local businesses. These businesses will gain from this product because they'll be able to save time and at the same time gain because it's a no hassle and high demand product. We are Acadia Cold Brew and we will be selling cold brew products.
Well, cold brew coffee is a refreshing, silky, and a smooth coffee beverage, but it is less acidic. And by steeping the coffee grounds in cold water for up to 24 hours, you can get deeper flavor tones. The key to this product is consistency. It's really hard to get it consistent, and we have that. So coffee is everywhere, right? From gas stations to food marts, farmers markets, co-ops, and so forth. But what about cold brew on tap? We want to provide the local businesses with a key turn product that will allow them to sell to bring it to their customers in an easy way. So the idea would be that we will provide our customers the equipment they need. We will provide them a delicious cold brew on the keg, and we will service this equipment, and that way they would just have to do this. We know and we have tested that we can sell up to 80 cups a day of cold brew on the island in the high season. We know that from each cold brew cup, our customers can get up to 65% profit of margin. So really, this is what all our customers will just to worry about. Open the keg and serve it. Chris and I have been working in the coffee industry for over 5 years, and in many different aspects of this industry. From roasting coffee beans for Acadia Coffee Company, to managing coffee shops such as Chocolate, to brewing fantastic pour-overs in our farmers markets. We have done our research and development in the farmers market that we serve to our community here in Northeast Harbor as well as in Bar Harbor. The customers come once and again asking for that delicious cold brew coffee we make. How do we make this recipe so good?
So if we do get the prize money, and we hope we do, we're gonna use it to get 3 kegerators, 10 kegs, 2 brewing kettles, 1 commercial refrigerator, and obviously marketing material. And I think that will give us all we need to start. This is our family, and we are very happy that we've been so embraced in this community in the last 5 years. And we really want to stay here, make a go of it, and so we thank you.
Would you be adding to what you already have, or are these, this is just a start?
It would be sort of a spin-off of what we already do. It would be very much in conjunction with Acadia Coffee Company. It would be an added revenue for our family.
And so your goal is to sell an additional 80 cups of coffee a day through?
Our goal, sorry that I wasn't that specific, our goal would be to provide to our customers a kegerator, which is the cold brew on the top, the equipment you need for it, and we would provide them with all they need to serve those 80 cups. So the local businesses on the area could benefit from it.
And so how many of these additional outlets would you expect to have from the customers?
So we are thinking that since this is our startup, we would have to have 2 customers with enough foot traffic that we would support the investment we need.
It would really allow us to prove the model so we could scale a lot.
Are you renting to them? Is that what you're?
Well, we are thinking of providing them with it just so it's attractive so that we could prove the model. But we have played with the idea of either leasing it or going into some sort of arrangement together where they could lease to buy or something like that.
Yeah. But you don't have that model in place today.
No, we do not, but that's our goal for funding.
Thank you.
But we do know it could work because we have experience doing it, right? To be frank, we do it at the farmers markets here, either in Northeast Harbor or in Bar Harbor, and we could sell that amount of cold brew in the high point of the summer within 4 hours. So an established business that has longer hours and we know it's in demand can meet those needs.
Great, thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much. And now Eliza's going to come up and talk to us about milk and honey, and she may be joined by Billy later for Q&A. Or Billy, you coming up too?
Yeah.
All right, Billy's going to join us.
I've been in the restaurant business for about 17 years now, in one capacity or another. And in 2013, I really landed my dream job. I got to open my very own restaurant right here in Northeast Harbor. And this is me looking just as exhausted and proud and happy as I've been ever since. This has really been a labor of love since day one. This is my husband Billy and his dad Charlie, landscaping the patio probably a few days before opening day. And here are our babies who have really helped us out a lot too, napping so we can do our work sometimes. I was pregnant with this guy, painting the walls kind of badly in the shop. It's really been a family affair from day one. And we've been really lucky and I've been able to find an amazing staff. In 2018, we employed about 30 people for catering and the shop. Some of them are high school students who are local, some are seasonal residents, some are college kids, some are our friends. And they've really become a family for us as well. They've really supported us and been just incredibly loyal, conscientious people who've made our lives so much better. And what we do here is we have a casual counter service cafe. We serve sandwiches, salads, pastries, beer, wine, and coffee. We have a really nice, robust daytime service. It's really been well received. We have like lovely lunches and see a lot of the same friendly faces every day there. Growth has been really steady since year one, and between 2017 and 2018, we grew our gross revenues about 30%. But we also, we're really, really proud of what we make there. We know that's only part of what we're providing. Really, we came to Northeast Harbor because it's a beautiful, beautiful town. It's special. It's sort of tucked away here. But also we saw an underserved community. We really feel like this town needed a few more options for dining and especially evening options. So in 2017, we kind of dipped our toes in providing dinner by starting Thursday night patio parties, where we really addressed this dinner need with the best things ever, oysters and fried chicken and drinks. It's been really, really well received. It's been kind of bumping from day one. And we really pack this patio every Thursday with friends and strangers and kids and dogs and tourists and locals. And we saw a need and we filled it. I think the next step seems to be more dinner service. That's what we're hearing from our people in this town. More fun, more parties, more nighttime stuff going on in Northeast Harbor. And to make that happen, we really feel like we need to rebuild the patio and make some more seating happen out there. We need an ice machine so we can expand our beverage service. A small height temp dishwasher so we can cut down our compostable single-use products. And a larger sandwich cooler so we can be a little more efficient during those busy lunches. We really just want to keep being here in this beautiful town that's taken such good care of us. Thank you.
Thank you. What percentage of your business do you get from the catering side of things? And how much has that grown versus the other restaurant?
It's sort of shocking. It's been almost half and half since year one. I think maybe because our catering season is extremely short and crazy. And the rest of the season, like we have moderate sort of shoulder season business, so it sort of steadies it out.
So you had a 30% gross increase this year. What does the investment do to that model going forward? And do you have the capacity to support it in the backside of the house?
So what we're finding is, I think expanding the evening services has become our focus because at patio parties, which are kind of our market research for this, we're doing typically 2 or 3 times our busy daytime sales just at that one dinner. So we feel like if we even added a couple more nights of service, doing something close to that, it would pay for this increase, the increased expenses pretty easily. Did that answer your question? Or was there a second part of the question?
People also tend to drink a lot more at the patio party, and there's a lot more money in the booze, so that helps a lot. Our sales are boosted by that.
So let's stick with that theme for a minute. So if it's a party, is it like a traditional table service where it turns or not?
I really kind of like, I mean, okay, it's a little bit chaotic, and we kind of, I think if we hit the right level of calling it a party as opposed to serious dinner service, I think it really makes people feel happy, and it feels like special and unusual. I think I'd like to maintain some of that feeling. I don't know if we really want to go into full table service, at least not within the next few years. That also requires a huge change on the back end that I don't think we're ready for.
Thank you.
Are your neighbors all willing to go along with your desires to expand the business?
It's a really good question. I feel like we've really benefited from Northeast Harbor being a pretty early bird town. So that hasn't been a huge issue yet. We really, even after we have a really, really busy dinner, usually the place is still cleared out no later than 9. So no neighbors have been upset with us yet. But I do think that's something to think about. It's a really dense little community back there.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay.
And now Drew and Cindy are going to talk to us about Peaky Joe.
So, just like Hermie just wanted to be a dentist, we came here just wanting to be a year-round fish market serving the island. We found a nice little spot on Main Street in Bar Harbor that we could make our own. So we got to work, got in the building, and rebuilding it the way we wanted it. We had a small kitchen, then we put in some seating so we could start cooking a small menu based off our beautiful fresh seafood. Next step was to fill our shelves with some carefully selected Maine-made food items, and then we got to cooking. And it turned out people were really enjoying our food. So our next logical step was to rip out our front lawn, put in some picnic tables, make it a nice little patio. Doing this has allowed us to double our sales in 4 years. So on to the next step will be to enclose that outdoor seating area like other local businesses have done. Allow us to seat in rainy weather and extreme heats of the summer. With that, we will also be able to add some lighting so we can extend our business hours later into the evening. And we will add some heaters so in the spring and fall months, when the nights start to get colder, people can still sit outside This is our hourly sales for the past year. And with a couple extra hours, this is what we see us as being able to do an additional revenue. With this additional revenue, we'll be able to keep more local staff, hire more local staff members. For the cost breakdown, we see it as $9,000 would help us enclose our outdoor patio area, $800 to buy 4 new space heaters, and $200 should take care of the lighting, for a grand total of $10,000. Thank you, everybody, for your time.
So how do you go about differentiating yourselves from all the other options coming down Main Street?
We differentiate ourselves because we have you can see our fresh seafood right in the case every day.
So the kind of things that we bring into the fish case are things that you don't find anywhere else. For example, we smoke our own sable fish and make a smoked sable fish salad. Sometimes we get skate cheeks into our fish case and make skate cheek tacos. Nowhere else in this state might even be doing that. Does that answer most of your question?
Yep, thank you.
I have a team question again. They're just the two of you, or do you have a large team?
There's, in addition to the 2 of us, through the summer, we have 5.5 full-time employees. We'll be adding, right now, they'll definitely add at least 1 more for this coming season. And with the additional hours open, we hope to add 2 to 3 more positions.
How ambitious are you about expanding your business in the coming years?
We feel very ambitious about that, as our gross numbers have shown. Doing the patio enclosure this year, I think would give us a better idea of when we're ready to take the next step and expand the restaurant a little further and help differentiate the areas of our business.
The space itself provides limitations, I think, with the front, so how do you address that? If you said with our next phase, I'm just curious about that.
Ultimately, we would like to take out the entire wall to the north side of the building, which is the only direction we can go zoning-wise. So we take out our whole yard and extend the kitchen that way to make it a full-size kitchen. In doing that, we could also put in bar, liquor, and do more full table service.
Thank you. So, Jay.
Thank you very much. And now I'd like to invite Rachel Sisson to come up and tell us about RL Sisson Events and Concierge.
I come from a long line of event overachievers. Even as my generation gets older, my parents still host multiple events throughout the year. The best day is always Christmas Day. It's over 40 people, chaotic, crazy, and it's really important because those moments of joy, celebration, love, kind of far and few between sometimes. But not everybody's like us, and some people would find planning any event to be kind of a daunting and stressful task. So what I do is I take that stress and I create experiences. This, and any slide throughout this presentation is all examples of my work. This is a rehearsal dinner on a dock with lobsters delivered by Linda Greenlaw, cozy blankets in the back of chairs, just a quintessential Maine moment. And my clients were able to have peace of mind and moments of joy because of my involvement in their event. What I do is organization, vendor relations, and really give my clients the opportunity to be present in the moment in their most important days of their lives. I also work with local organizations, making sure that they look their best on their big days. What makes my business strong and unique are the relationships that I've developed with my clients throughout the design and planning process. And my clients spend money, a lot of money. And I'm lucky enough to be able to point them in direction with super talented community of vendors. These are just to name a few. And actually, after doing the math, come to find out that over the last 5 years, the people I work with have spent about $2.5 million in our local community. And as I grow, I find that I'm kind of at the need for a change in the way that I advertise myself, present myself. And come to find out, I'm really great at events, but not so great at technology. And as someone eloquently pointed out yesterday, my website looks like I showed up to an interview with stains in my shirt and food all over my face. So, in order for me to become a more sustainable year-round business, where I could potentially hire on a full-time assistant, I would need a unique, powerful website and brand identity to really represent my reputation and the services that I offer. It's really moments like this that remind me why I do what I do.
Where are you located?
In my bedroom. Yeah, so I work from home, and in the summer season, I'm often meeting clients on site, but one of my hopes is to have an office space so that if I do have a full-time assistant, we can have an actual space. So basically, my bedroom and my car.
This is on island?
Yes, I live in Southwest Harbor.
Oh.
Yeah, year-round with my family. Yeah.
So you're doing all this work by yourself at this point?
No. So last year was the first year that I was lucky enough to hire on an amazing assistant, but I was only able to really afford to hire her part-time. But generally, she would help with errands and replying to emails and cleaning a lot of hurricane lanterns, like a lot. And then on site day of, really assisting me to make sure that we can execute events to perfection.
So we saw the Jack's Lab kickoff in Ellsworth. But is it safe to say this is largely seasonal?
Yeah, so that's part of my problem, and what I was hoping with doing, having like a new brand identity is to be able to have more substantial, higher paying clients in the summer months, and then potentially really foster some relationships with more local organizations so that I could have potential contracts with them to do more of those types of events that could be year-round. But frankly, with the amount of work I have, I am working year-round. It's just not executing events until the summer months.
So how do you charge now for your services?
Well, I'm learning that I'm doing it all wrong. So basically what I've been doing is kind of, I communicate with a potential client and kind of get a feel for their overall vision. And then I, from experience, know what it takes to do that, and I charge an hourly rate. And I kind of like, oh, how many hours? And I add it all up and I put a percentage on top of that. But what my hope is that by rebranding and showing these examples of some pretty great work, that I'll be able to charge clients a much higher rate, and then they'll be spending more money on this island and their friends and guests that come to their weddings.
So if your website isn't working, is it word of mouth that you're
I've been so fortunate in this community that it's almost 100% word of mouth up until recently that I put a small investment into marketing.
All right, that's it. Let's hear it again for these incredible people. So a couple of things. Now is the time we're gonna, the judges are gonna get sequestered away. For the audience, you have to be present to vote, so please don't put this out on social media where you can vote with your phone. If you have one, you'll be able to send in a text message, and I'll give you those instructions in just one moment. Never fear if you don't have a cell phone or your phone is not getting service here. You can fill out a paper ballot and bring it up to myself or Jordan, who's just putting his hand up, and we will make sure your vote is counted. So I'm about to give you the number that you can text to, and please do not put this out on social media. We've also, the service geo-fences it around this location, so you have to be physically here to vote. So what you can do is, if you're in the audience, text to that number, number 1 for Bar Harbor Oyster Company, number 2 for Mary Farm, 3 for Coffee Shop Cafe, 4 for Island Star Takeaway, 5 for Chickadee Hill Flowers, 6 for Spruce and Gussie, 7 for Acadia Cold Brew, 8 for Milk and Honey, number 9 for Piquito, and 10 for R.L. Sisson Events and Concierge. So we would invite people to take out your cell phones and vote. We're going to get the judges sequestered away, and we will be back to you as soon as the results are in.
No, I'm Alex, but I'll take you out too. Yeah. Yes. Thank you. I am collecting paper ballots. Yeah, that'll work. Yep. Great. I'll take them. Yep. That works. Yep.
I use mine as a notebook, so can I
just circle one?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's easy. How do I actually vote on? Write the number down. Where? Whichever one is on the back. I work on the outside. Yeah, sure. That works. Yep. This is it's pretty unofficial. Thank you. Oh, okay. I'll take that one too. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Sure. We'll take those 10 back. Great. Thanks so much. circle the one you can. Yep. Yes. Jay, can I give you this?
So please vote by text. We're going to be closing down the text voting in just about a minute. So if you haven't done your text voting, please go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
In case you're interested, we having the results. We having the results from both the audience and the judges. So if people could take their seats. We'd love to announce this. And before we announce the winner, can we just give one last round of applause for the entrepreneurs? This is amazing. And I'd like to invite Curtis Smart to come on up and make the award.
Thank you. On behalf of my fellow judges, we also want to say thank you. There's a lot of family that goes into hours and hours of the support here. Speaking in front of a group, if you don't do it regularly, it's really hard, particularly with a 3-minute clock staring you in the face. Really hard. So another round of applause, fantastic. Also, I think the mentors do an amazing job. I know a lot of my colleagues at the bank and other local business partners give a lot of their time to make this community the way they do. So I appreciate your efforts on that. And then last but not least, all of you come out on a not so nice evening to support what people are so passionate about. every day. So with that, let's get to some money. No. Audience Choice Award. Well, okay, please come up, Bar Harbor Oyster Company.
Well, first of all, thank you, yes, for coming out and for voting. This has been a really long process for us, and farming, whether you're on the sea or the land, really is a labor of love. And the more I do it, the more I love it. And I'm confident that this is the right match for me and my family, and also this coastline. Like, there needs to be a profound need for a shift in the way that we are producing food on this planet. And I think it can happen here. And I think that while we're only providing 4 or 5 jobs now, this is a sector that can really grow, and we can be proud of it. So thank you.
I guess we should have brought 2 checks. Okay, second winner. Drum roll. Was only kidding. Milk and Honey.
Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate this. Northeast Harbor is really taking amazing care of us. Truly, it's been like a family to us, and it means a lot.
Congratulate all our winners, but also congratulate everyone else who participated, because you all did a fabulous job. And I know it wasn't easy because